Hey guys, it's Michael Griswold. This morning I was watching the news and they had a story about a guy who tried to rob the Bellagio in Las Vegas. Now if you don't know, the Bellagio is a casino in Las Vegas and robbing it is close to impossible. You know, the guy wasn't very sophisticated. Him and a couple buddies came in, they tried to pepper spray the blackjack dealer and take a bunch of chips. And this isn't the first time this has happened, and of course, you know, people who've tried to rob it typically don't succeed. It got me thinking about how robbing a casino is a lot like getting back with your ex. Now, let me explain. First of all, a casino isn't meant to be robbed, right? A casino is meant for enjoyment. It's meant for people to go and, when done appropriately, gamble a certain amount of money, enjoy it, and win or lose, but it's entertainment. Casinos aren't meant to be robbed. That's not the purpose of them. But, you know, sometimes people use a casino for the wrong things, in the same way that we use relationships for the wrong things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain to you what this guy did, and then how this is very similar to what a lot of people do when they try to get back with their ex. What this guy tried to do is he tried to just bully his way in, take what he wanted, even though it was impossible, and he thought that just by his sheer force he was going to win. But that didn't work. If you've ever seen the movie Ocean's 11, you know that they were much more sophisticated. And it did work, it was a movie, but the elaborate plan that they had to implement and pull off flawlessly was pretty close to impossible. So how is this like relationships? Well, after we get broken up with, it feels kind of like it's as impossible as robbing a casino. I mean, trying to get back in the good graces of somebody who we've offended or hurt or broken their trust is a lot like trying to walk into a casino and take all of their chips. But see, just like casinos aren't meant to be robbed, relationships aren't meant to be robbed either. So while you could try to bully your way in, you know, by using emotional pleas, you know, by crying or manipulating, that's very similar to trying to rob a casino by force. You could try to be more elaborate and cunning and get your friends in on it and have them all conspire, but that would take a lot of planning and execution. But that's not what it's meant for either. You see, in the same way that people are meant to go to a casino and enjoy themselves, that's what relationships are meant for. And when they get to the point where they're broken, then it's not appropriate to try to bully your way back into it. What is appropriate is to learn how to let the other person enjoy it again. Relationships are meant to be enjoyed, and at one point you did enjoy it, and your boyfriend or girlfriend, husband or wife did enjoy it. The problem that we run into is not arguments. Everybody has arguments, no matter how great of a couple it is. It's what we do with the arguments, is if we try to take those arguments and bully our way through, or if we try to be real cunning so that we can make sure that we're right, then we end up using a relationship for the wrong reason. So here's what you do instead. In the same way that the appropriate thing to do at a casino is to go in and enjoy it, that's what the appropriate thing is to do with the relationship. And if it's broken, then the first step is to make it enjoyable again. A lot of times that starts with you. And the reason is because after a breakup, our hearts are shattered. I mean, it feels like they've been ripped out of our chest, thrown onto the ground, and stomped into 1,000 little bits with 9-inch stilettos. And we don't know where to start. So a lot of the things that we do is we react. We try to do anything we can in a desperate attempt to regain control of ourselves. But let me invite you to do something different. Let me invite you instead to get control of yourself, to learn how to get your emotions under control. And here's why. Regardless of how this relationship turns out, some people are going to get back together, some people aren't. But people who don't learn this lesson are destined to keep trying to treat their relationships like casinos and keep trying to rob them. Keep trying to use bullying tactics or manipulation or cunning, clever techniques to get what they want, instead of using a relationship for what it's meant to be, which is enjoyable. Here's how you know if you're using your relationship like a casino in the inappropriate way. You're always scared. You're always nervous that the next shoe is going to drop, that you're going to find out that if you don't do everything right, everything is going to crumble and you'll have nothing left. Can I invite you, having been there myself, I am not preaching to you. This is spoken out of my own experience? Can I invite you to try another way? Can I invite you to try getting your emotions to the point where you can control them? So that you, instead of having to take because you're so scared, you have something to give. And when you have something to give, people love you. And then they want to give it back to you. Look, if you're going through a breakup, if you're having a hard time, it is difficult. Don't be discouraged by people who tell you to, keep a stiff upper lip and there's more fish in the sea. It's not that simple. There are things that you have to address, or you'll carry them into the next relationship and be doomed to repeat the same. Why don't you go and check out the M3 system? It's at reunitedrelationships.com. You can click on the link right below this video. It tells the story of how I ended up getting back with a girl who broke up with me, even though I had done everything wrong. And in it, there are some tips on how you can do the same. And we start by helping you to regain a sense of control. So that now, instead of needing to take, you have something to give. And when you have something to give, you lower your ex's or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your husband or your wife, you lower their defenses. Because see, when you're defensive, when you're trying to protect yourself, they can feel it. They can tell, and it only makes them defensive too. When you have something to give, though, then there's no reason to be defensive. They can let down their guard, and you can begin the healing process. And that's what it is. We're emotional creatures. And as much as we'd like it to be black and white, I love her, she loves me, it should work, it's not really that simple. The subtleties and the minutia and the little bits always are the things that trip us up. That's why it's important to get our head straight before we try to get our heart straight. So, why don't you go over, if this resonates with you, why don't you go over and check out the M3 system. It's at reunitedrelationships.com. You can click on the link below. And remember, if you're ever feeling scared, if you're ever feeling like you're worried that if you don't do something right, the relationship is going to crumble, find out how you're treating this relationship like a Las Vegas casino robbery. And stop. And instead, look for something to give. My name is Michael Griswold. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you soon.